There is a look that comes in a person's face when you know that you don't need them to be in your space anymore. When you know that it is time to go or something bad can happen to you. There is a look that my son's father has that almost makes his face turn into a skeleton. It is very evil looking, and it's almost like I can look in his eyes and see through to his soul. And I saw nothing but evil. So that evening, I started packing up my entire truck with everything. Everything that I brought there, I packed in my truck. And at like 3:30 in the morning, 3:30, I texted the trainer and I begged him to let me go.
Hey friends, this is Royce Reed's story from Basketball Wives. Her words, her ups, her downs, and her many, many triumphs. Her story will take you on a real ride. So buckle up and sit tight.
Hey y'all, I'm back. Gotta deal with some more foolishness. Keep telling people, leave me alone. People don't like to listen. So this video ain't gonna be that long. It's really just going to address some things that Superman decided to speak on in an interview. Not sure who his PR people are. He's probably just doing shit, just like flying by the seat of his pants, pun intended. But that's okay, because that means you're really showing who you are. And looks to me like you thought you ate that interview, and not what these kids say, and didn't really work out so well, did it? Damn. All right, so let's get into it, since we want to talk about child support. It took me over a year to file for child support. It took me over a year because I was trying to not be that person. I don't want his business out there. I also didn't want my business out there. I mean, Orlando hated me, right? So why would I sit there and just say, let's go straight to court? Days born. Absolutely not. So we go to court and we come to a decision in late 2008, right? And the decision was, yes, $13,000 a month. I know y'all are like, 13,000? Oh my God, I don't even get a third of that. I get it. Now, in the state of Florida, they basically state that when you are given child support, you are basically trying to provide almost the same, not really the same, but at least close to, as much as you can, the same lifestyle. So there's no bias, so there's no favoritism, because as you can see, certain parents will do certain things for certain kids and absolutely nothing for the others. That was our situation. But we haven't even gotten a baby number 2 and baby number 3 that were born in the same year, or baby number 4 and baby number 5 who are also born in the same year. But I digress. So the amount that was agreed upon was actually a third of what I was supposed to get. Why? Because I'm parading around and I'm like, you know what? It's not about the money. I don't want to come across as a gold digger. So yes, I'm just going to take this. And 13 was a lot. Like, for real, it was a lot. I was still working, but I've always worked. I said this before. I've worked since I was 16. So now, obviously, because I'm trying to provide a better lifestyle for my child, I don't want to live in a townhouse anymore. And because he finds out that I'm buying my house in my name, purchased with that lump sum that he's talking about he gave me. If you were paying child support from the beginning, why would you have to pay a lump sum along with it? That was back child support. And it was also to pay all my attorney fees. I had two, one from Palm Beach and one that was here, the one who screwed me over. He had like four. Y'all know how that works. Celebrities are all these people who are high end, especially a lot of these companies. They get like 10 lawyers on your ass and they just hound you. So when you don't have the money to catch up, what do you have to do? Hire someone else. So that's why I had to. Moving on. My attorney fees during that time were over six figures. Yeah, because I kept filing bullshit. Now, if we want to really, really go into it, you know what? Not even if we want to. I'm going to show y'all because one thing is out that he doesn't know is out, but I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know. I'm going to go ahead and spill the beans. All right, so moving on, I buy a house with that lump sum. That included back pay and my attorney fees. Screw me for not going out and buying Gucci and Prada and red bottoms and all this other stuff. If you ever watch me on the show, you know that people used to always talk about the way I dress. They always used to talk about my hair. They did that because I was not spending my money on myself because it wasn't my money. Right? I'm just dancing. And right now, Holy Land is like kind of in between things. So I'm sitting here doing little gigs here and there. And I'm like, how can I make money? What do? I can start a dance company because that's what I do. I'm in entertainment. Right? So that dance studio that he's claimed that I bought, no, I leased a small ass room in a plaza. One of those small rooms when you're walking and you're looking in the windows and it says for lease. It was super small. And I'll post a picture of it in a little bit. I'll post it on my story. But it was a small ass room, y'all. I think the rent was maybe and it was a lease. I think the rent was maybe close to $2,000 a month. But I figured I'd make that back. The company at that time actually was called Diversity. I changed the name to Fanta Chic because I wanted to kind of change the premise of the company and I wanted it to be for Black girls that look like me. My goddaughter that saw all that stuff happen at my house, she is part of the reason that I started the company. It's not hard to recount the truth. So, moving on some more. As I'm trying to live my life and we started dating, we break up, all of a sudden all these lawsuits happen. If you think I'm lying, let's pull up the proof. Because he's very quick to say that he never sued me and what are you talking about? He gaslights my child all the time, talking about, I never sued your mom, I never did this, what are you talking about? Show me the proof. He was saying that because our case was sealed. You're not really Superman anymore, sir. So even the city of Orlando has given you some kryptonite. Our case is not sealed anymore. So let's go ahead and do the search results of your name. Let's just do your name. And 30 results come up. 30 cases. One is from mother number 2, her paternity case. That's actually the first one comes up. Numbers. Oh, it's a lot of, my goodness. Numbers 4. Y'all know how that works. Celebrities are all these people who are high end, especially a lot of these companies. They get 10 lawyers on your ass and they just hound you. So when you don't have the money to catch up, what do you have to do? Hire someone else. So that's why I had to. Moving on. My attorney fees during that time were over six figures. Yeah, because I kept filing bullshit. Now, if we want to really, really go into it, you know what? Not even if we want to. I'm going to show y'all, because one thing is out that he doesn't know is out, but I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know. I'm going to go ahead and spill the beans. All right, so moving on, I buy a house with that lump sum. That included back pay and my attorney fees. Screw me for not going out and buying Gucci and Prada and red bottoms and all this other stuff. If you ever watch me on the show, you know that people used to always talk about the way I dress. They always used to talk about my hair. They did that because I was not spending my money on myself, because it wasn't my money, right? I'm just dancing. And right now, Holy Land is like kind of in between things. So I'm sitting here doing little gigs here and there. And I'm like, how can I make money? What do? I can start a dance company, because that's what I do. I'm in entertainment, right? So that dance studio that he's claimed that I bought, no, I leased a small ass room in a plaza. One of those small rooms when you're walking and you're looking in the windows and it says for lease. It was super small. And I'll post a picture of it in a little bit. I'll post it on my story. But it was a small ass room, y'all. I think the rent was maybe like, and it was a lease. I think the rent was maybe like close to $2,000 a month. But I figured I'd make that back. The company at that time actually was called Diversity. I changed the name to Fantasy because I wanted to kind of change the premise of the company, and I wanted it to be for Black girls that look like me. My goddaughter that saw all that stuff happen at my house, she is part of the reason that I started the company. It's not hard to recount the truth. So, moving on some more. As I'm trying to live my life, and we started dating, we break up, all of a sudden, all these lawsuits happen. If you think I'm lying, let's pull up the proof. Because he's very quick to say that he never sued me, and what are you talking about? He gaslights my child all the time, talking about, I never sued your mom, I never did this, what are you talking about? Show me the proof. He was saying that because our case was sealed. You're not really Superman anymore, sir. So even the city of Orlando has given you some kryptonite. Our case is not sealed anymore. So let's go ahead and do the search results of your name. Let's just do your name. And 30 results come up. 30 cases. One is from mother number 2, her paternity case. That's actually the first one comes up. Numbers. Oh, it's a lot of, my goodness. Numbers. 3 cases, right? Now you're probably wondering, oh, that's just 3 cases. No, because within each case is all the other motions and all that stuff that's been filed. So, hey, let's go ahead and you see this one right here that says Royce. Oh, all these others are traffic civil violations because he was constantly pulled over for unlawful speed. And when I spoke on that one time in court, I was chastised. I was, nobody's perfect. But I don't know anybody that gets 27 speeding tickets in a matter of just a handful of years. That's crazy. That's like more than one a month. Almost. Whew. Anyway, so let's go ahead and click on the one. Let's click on number 15 that says my name, okay? No, let's click on number 15, okay? All right, I know this is a small phone. This is my business phone. I apologize. I probably should have picked up one of the ones that's in my bag, but we'll get to that later. So, here's the case. And I'm going to just go go ahead and do this until we get to the bottom so y'all can see where it started. Whew. Y'all see all that? That's court cases that were filed against me. Okay? It starts on October 16th, 2009. Now, whose timeline's not matching up? Whose timeline isn't matching up? This is, again, the time, like I said in my last video, Basketball Wives. We're shooting this whole, gag order thing that they tricked me into signing, but hey, that's partially my fault. Trusted my attorney. I get it. Hey, go ahead and, slap me. But I'm going to go ahead and go slow so y'all can see how often, you see that green? That means it's public. That green means it's public. Now, the number one on the docket, if you look and search the records, is with baby mother number 2, and hers is still private, but mine is not. So again, we're starting at October 16th, 2009. And we're gonna go ahead and scroll. We have October 23rd, October 27th, October 28th, October 29th. Then we skip a month or so. We go into December 14th, January 5th, January 13th. This is now in 2010, by the way. We then go to May of 2010, May 25th, the day before my brother's birthday, actually. All these were filed that day. Then we have May 26th, my brother's birthday. Another motion was filed. Then we have June 7th. Another motion was filed. Then we have June 8th. Then a notice of hearing. Then we have June 9th, June 10th, June 11th, June 14th, June 18th, June 30th. Ooh, some more. July 16th, September 3rd. Oh my goodness. September 10th, September 13th, September 15th, September 27th, September 30th. This is all 2010. So when y'all are asking me where that money went, that $13K a month, when you gotta spend money to fight the bullshit lawsuits, this is where that money is going. This is also where the majority of my Basketball Wives checks went. Because he was so jealous that his ass couldn't be on fucking TV outside of bouncing a ball. He sucked in interviews. He wanted to be a reality star. Let's just call a spade a spade. Continuing. We're now at October. This is the next year. We're now at a year now. October 4th, October 10th, October 29th. November 8th. And there's a bunch on November 8th. And then November 10th. Mind you, our son's birthday is November 18th, and this is what I'm dealing with. The same person who not one time has ever gotten our son a birthday gift. But he's out here parading birthday parties for other people. PR stunts. Come on, y'all, pay attention. And November 15th, November 16th, November 18th, and November 19th, November 23rd, November 24th, November 28th, November 29th, December 3rd, December 6th. Oh man, December 8th, December 10th, December 13th, December 14th, December 15th, 16th, 23rd. Now let's go into 2011. Y'all want me to keep going? No? I mean, it's going to probably take a while to read all these because this is just the first one I clicked, remember? So I'm just going to go hurry up and scroll. But this last one I'm going to say, we're now in 2011. And it started on, January 20th of 2011, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and scroll. VOR means viewable on request. Ours is not under that anymore. It's green. It's public. Anyway, so, again, now we're at February 14th. Yes, y'all, Valentine's Day. I had a man. Anyway, We're in 2011. This is February 14th. I'm just going to scroll. I'm going to scroll slow so y'all can see this. These are all notices and hearings and motions, all this stuff. We're still going, y'all. I'm now at May 23rd, 2012. Let's keep going. Oh, my finger's getting tired. Now we're at October 23rd, 2012. Let's keep going. Oh, this one finally stops in August of 2014. That's just that one. Now let me go back. Let's click on, which one did I just click? 14 or 15? Let's click on 14. Now here we have this. Okay? This one started. This is a whole nother docket, y'all. This is a whole nother case. Okay? Whole nother one. Let me scroll. In January 4th, 2009. And we're going to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. All these are motions. And then we have an order of dismissal. And it was a voluntary dismissal. Okay? And that voluntary dismissal comes from who? Voluntary dismissal. Why are you doing voluntary dismissals? Because clearly you don't have shit. Some of these cases are still open, y'all. But it costs money every single time that you have to respond. Every single time. It also involves attorney fees. And y'all know attorney fees are not cheap. Especially if you have what you feel is a good attorney. We're talking about between $400 $500 an hour. So imagine $400 or $500 an hour having to go through all that bullshit that I just showed you. So that's where the money went, since we want to sit here and get, specific, and we want to talk about exact amounts. That's why you didn't see me on the show, like parading around and all these things. I mean, that's not me anyway. I'm not a materialistic person. I am not a person that is defined by wearing somebody else's name across my chest. I'd rather wear my own. So that's just me. That's pretty much all I wanted to address today, because that's what he wanted to address. And it's just really sad that you're not doing your research before you open your mouth. And, I love that for you. Because you're just giving yourself your own rope to hang yourself. Also, just to reiterate why I'm doing this, he decided to call my child while he was playing Fortnite a few nights ago. And this is after I told my child, don't block him. Maybe one day he'll change. I have never talked shit about his father publicly or even to him, really ever. And anyone who knows me knows that I would literally stick up for him. There was a day where my child was that kid sitting on the sidewalk waiting on his dad to pull up. There was a day that happened. That day is also the day that I found out that he was in New Jersey with his cousin and Pastor Zachary Timms. I screen grabbed that picture. That next morning, all of a sudden, Pastor Zachary Timms is no longer with us. There's no video surveillance, but there is a picture of who he was with. And then all of a sudden, Superman's Twitter went from having 10,000 tweets to about 10. But I digress. I'll get there later. I'll talk to y'all later. I need to finish, deep conditioning my hair. Tell you a story about how my life changed beginning July 31st, 2004 to even now, all because I had a baby by Superman, part 5. I think it's also important to note when people ask, well, why couldn't you all try and work this out? Y'all needed therapy. We were actually given a parenting coordinator, and I went to all the appointments. He went to one. He stopped showing up. So she ended up writing a letter stating that she could not do her job because of his failure to participate. So we are now at the end of 2009, and unbeknownst to me, this agreement I've signed has just basically destroyed my life. Well, not only am I fighting him in civil court, but I'm also fighting him in family court. They are filing all these motions claiming that I am denying visitation when half the time they asked for it, he wasn't even in town. But what does that mean? More attorney fees, more court costs. So every time a motion was filed, we had to answer. During this time, I am also dealing with one of his minions that is going on the internet and threatening to fight me at my son's birthday party. She was saying that someone was going to end up at the 33rd Street jail, that they needed to have her bail money because there was going to be trouble. I am expressing my concern regarding this person, and finally, it was agreed that she would not come. So now here we are in the first quarter of 2010, and I'm filming the show. I am living my best life. I am outside. I am dancing at pool parties. And here comes another lawsuit. What does that mean? Another set of retainer fees. There goes my first check. So the second quarter of 2010, I am getting drained with attorney fees. I'm fighting him in family court as well as civil court. And I'm also doing promo for the show. I am now asked to go on the Wendy Williams show, not as a guest, but as a how you doing girl. She asked me if my son's father was Superman. I said yes. I'm now sued. I am sued for $500 million. As I'm dealing with this latest lawsuit and people are laughing at me all over the internet and wishing hell on me, hoping that I go to jail, calling me every name in the book, I am also getting harassed by the same person who threatened to fight me at my son's birthday party. She is sending me messages about, ha ha ha, how does it feel to not be number one anymore? How does it feel to know you're not the only one? Don't you feel stupid? And what was she talking about? We have welcomed baby number 2, a little girl born in June of 2010. In September of 2010, there was another lawsuit. What does that mean? More money, in which at this point I did not have. He won. There was a writ of garnishment that was made out for November of 2010, and they went and looked for every single account that I had, and they took everything from me. Not only did they do that, they found the account that I had with my mother since I was a little girl, the very first account I ever had, and she was attached to it. It wasn't even an account that I used anymore. But because they didn't get anything out of that account from me, they took everything from her. They took my mom's entire savings. In the early part of 2011, I released my book, College Girls. I was hosting parties. I had a boyfriend, the one that bought me the dog. I was doing the weekly blog for the show. I was in Detroit doing the play Cheaters. I was hustling, y'all. Come June of 2011, wouldn't you know, by the grace of God, out pops Superman and Sister C. This one is a Christian. She is modest. She is a beautiful girl, all natural, and I mean, very Little House on the Prairie. Perfect for his image. He is getting baptized. He is giving himself to God. He is in love. Visitations seem as if they are becoming more consistent, so I'm grateful. August comes, and because visitation has become a little bit more consistent, my son is now waiting for him on the curb. Yes, just like the little picture of the kid sitting on the curb with a lunchbox waiting for their parent that never comes. That was my child, the one and only time I allowed him to do that. But nobody called to say that they weren't coming. And because I turned into the FBI, I find bitches instantly. I went on Twitter because I wanted to know where he was. And this was around the time where people were putting all their business out there. So I saw a picture, and he was in New Jersey. He was on a basketball court with his pastor, Zachary Timms. Oh, I had to go back through my calendar, and I was making sure that this was a day that he was supposed to have our son. And it was, and I reached out to my attorney. I sent the picture to my attorney, and I'm like, what is going on? There was no response. So the next day, I get back on the internet because I want to see if there's at least a timeline of a return, because my plans have now changed, but it's always been that way. Well, all of a sudden, the Twitter page went from 10,000 plus tweets to 10, 20. What happened? Did he find out that I saw that he was in New Jersey and didn't get our son for visitation? No. I then see a headline that says, Pastor Zachary Timms is no longer with us. Oh. For the rest of that year, I minded my business. Although I was still fighting in court and talking about this nanny and being told I was a liar, I kept my mouth shut. Well, now we're in January of 2012, and I am dating my football player, and I am happy. A picture comes out of him taking a nap with my son. Fully clothed, very innocent picture. The narrative that is given is that my boyfriend was being inappropriate with him. They took that narrative and they ran with it for weeks. They didn't care that it could destroy this person's character, his career, his reputation, nothing. It wasn't about the nanny who was actually being inappropriate. It was about a distraction. Why? Well, in February, that is when I was made aware that he was leaving Orlando. And then in March, here comes baby number 3. Baby number 3 is over a year old. Baby number 3 is a little girl. Baby number 3 was born the same year as baby number 2. We are now in April of 2012, and Superman is having back surgery in California, and I'm ecstatic that he is no longer here because I'm thinking he's going to leave me alone. He does not. I am hit with another lawsuit. In this lawsuit, I am almost immediately demanded to send my child to California for 6 weeks. I get 1 week of visitation. Yes, I was forced to send my child to California for 6 weeks to be with a person that he has not seen in 6 months, even when he was in Orlando. That visitation exchange was probably one of the worst situations I've ever had to endure. I watched my child hyperventilate. I watched my child scream. I watched my child reach for me to take him, and I had to let him go. I was given a visit halfway through, and I saw the same exact thing. And I was also there with one of my dancer friends that I dance with in Miami, who I also dance with sometimes when I take a heels class. They were there to console me because I could not, in my mind, save my child. After that visitation, I was hit in court with more motions, more visitation requests for days that he was not even in town. And there was one time where we actually did communicate and came up with a visitation schedule, and flights had already been made, but his attorneys wanted to go to court claiming that I was denying visitation. I went to court that day and I showed the judge that we already had the flight information. His attorneys sat there and were acting so oblivious as if they had no idea. In 2013, I'm hit with more court filings and requests to produce as usual. But around April, I'm hearing rumors of another baby. Well, come June, that baby is born, a little boy. And I say on Twitter, congratulations, happy birthday. This baby was born in California, my little house on the prairie, Sister C, and he has now been traded to Houston. I am here to tell you a story about how my life changed beginning. Hey y'all, it's Royce, and I am here to tell you a story about how my life changed beginning July 31st, 2004, up until even now, all because I had a baby by Superman, part 6. We are now in the fall of 2013. I am getting my son prepared for kindergarten. I have actually gotten him tested, and he has been diagnosed with ADHD. For those of us with children who have ADHD and have taken medication for it, you know ADHD medication is not something that you can start and just stop cold turkey. So There were visitations that were happening and they were refusing to give him his medication. I was also against him traveling so much because he's literally in kindergarten, the first grade of grade school. So, outside of my son having to travel on Friday nights to Sunday evenings just to get up for school the next day and go, I am now concerned because they are refusing to give him his medication. They lied and said that they had a doctor from Sarasota come and examine him. And when I spoke to that doctor in Sarasota, that doctor said that he absolutely did not examine my son. He only told them what the medications that he was taking were for. He also let them know that it was dangerous to stop the medication cold turkey. They did it anyway. Hey y'all, it's Royce, and I am here to tell you a story about how my life changed beginning July 31st, 2004, up until even now, all because I had a baby by Superman, part 6. We are now in the fall of 2013. I am getting my son prepared for kindergarten. I have actually gotten him tested, and he has been diagnosed with ADHD. For those of us with children who have ADHD and have taken medication for it, you know, ADHD medication is not something that you can start and just stop cold turkey. So there were visitations that were happening and they were refusing to give him his medication. I was also against him traveling so much because he's literally in kindergarten, the first grade of grade school. So outside of my son having to travel on Friday nights to Sunday evenings just to get up for school the next day and go, I am now concerned because they are refusing to give him his medication. They lied and said that they had a doctor from Sarasota come and examine him. And when I spoke to that doctor in Sarasota, that doctor said that he absolutely did not examine my son. He only told them what the medications that he was taking were for. He also let them know that it was dangerous to stop the medication cold turkey. They did it anyway. And now we are moving into the summer of 2014. Our son has completed kindergarten and he is now going to visit his father for a few weeks in the summer. I find out that almost 3 days after our son arrived, he left. He had actually been gone for several weeks and I had no idea because nobody was communicating with me. When my son is finally returned home, I am actually at practice with my company, and my parents call and say that I need to get to their home immediately. I ask why, they won't tell me, they just express that it was extremely important. Of course, I leave, I get there, they tell me that my son has bruises all over his body. I go to hug him and him me, and he goes, ouchie. I then look, I raise his shirt, he has a bruise on his stomach, he now has a bruise on his leg, on his inner thigh. And when I ask him what happened, he tells me his daddy did it. This is just a couple of days before he is to start first grade. So, of course, I am texting trying to figure out what happened and why, and I am being ignored. I am then told by my attorney that I need to take my child down to the Department of Children and Families. I do that, and they do a forensic interview. They talk to me, and they start asking me to contact Superman. I am doing so, and I am trying to tell him what is going on, and he is ignoring me until he finally responds and says that he doesn't have to tell me anything about why he disciplined or spanked our child. Because of that response, a case was opened. The case was almost immediately shut quietly. Because of my concern and because I said something publicly, the case was reopened. The case was then sent to Georgia because it happened in Georgia. It was sent to 3 different counties in Georgia until it got to the county that his uncle was the DA of, and the case was dropped. But I'm not saying that he had anything to do with it. As you can probably guess, at this point, visitation ceased. Communication did as well for the most part, except for the fact that they sent a picture around of me taking my son to Hooters for his birthday and made it seem as if I was a sick mother. In 2015, we barely communicated at all. There were no visitation requests. There was just a bunch of motions filed here and there. So, of course, more money. As we get to the end of 2015, the communication doors are reopened. And Superman and I are communicating. It seems as if we are working on co parenting. He asked if we can come to Houston in January of 2016, and I said yes. And when we get there, we're going to eat oysters. And as we're coming back, Superman is walking with a young lady that looks to be, I believe, Mexican with long hair. And she's holding the hand of this little boy with floppy hair. And he's trying to get out of her arms. He's just wild and crazy. As he's introducing her to me, he then introduces the little boy and says, "This is my son." What? He's 2. So now we have baby number 5, who was born the same year as baby number 4 in 2013. So this is the real reason why you haven't been bothering me. And I knew that to be a fact because she was actually going through court with him. And now we're trying to change a narrative. Well, I did befriend her and we became very close. And she actually came down and celebrated my son's birthday with him. And I took him, my son, and also their sister to Fun Spot that year. We were also making trips to Atlanta because at this point he had been traded again and he was now with Atlanta. Also, let it be noted that Sister C and he had broken up. Unfortunately, this meant that I now had to deal with a crazy ass pastor and his wife that were constantly telling us how bitter we were and that we were gold diggers and that it wasn't about the kids and that we were worthless women who wanted him. We are now in 2018 and our son is playing sports, but he's also a junior striker, which is a hip hop dancer. His father did come to the show that year. It was in June. And after the show, he, along with some of his people and my people, we went to dinner. After dinner, a few friends of mine and I were supposed to go to the Pulse nightclub. We did not go to the Pulse nightclub because all of us were outside having a conversation with a homeless man. That is the night that the Pulse nightclub shooting happened. This is also the day that he told me that he was dating the basketball player. When he told me her age, and I was taken aback, but to each his own, because who am I? Pot me kettle, right? A few months later, right around our son's birthday, a recording was released. And the recording was a man who was alleging to have had deeds with Superman and the pastor arguing on the phone. This is the same conversation where this person called Superman a 6'11" bottom. Well, now moving on to 2019, I realized that I like this girlfriend. She seems cool. She seems to keep him level-headed. He seems to be leaving me alone, and I'm all for it. Anytime we are having an argument or we seem like we can't communicate, it seems as if she's stepping in and she's really helping things out. So we good. Our son graduates from elementary school that year. He graduates with honors. She comes. There's a big family picture and we keep it pushing. So I thought she was cool. I liked her. We had a cordial relationship. Well, next thing you know, the pandemic hits and he is losing his mind. He is swearing that the world is going to end, and he has all of us in a group thread, and he's trying to get all of us to come to Georgia for quarantine. I said no. So did mama number 2. So did mama number 3. But mama number 4 and mama number 5 said yes. I then thought about it. I spoke to my boyfriend. He was still against it, so I stuck with no. Just a few days after that is when I'm on the internet and I see a bunch of prayer hands under mama number 5's picture. and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I get a call from mama number 4, sister C, and she tells me that mama number 5 has passed away. Of course, I pick up the phone and I start calling, and she's not answering, but I could not believe it. My dog is gone. She was the one that I was closest to. She was the one that I communicated the most with. I was heartbroken. After that, I am getting hounded even more so with phone calls about coming to Georgia for quarantine. At this point, because my heartstrings have been pulled, and because I have been in and out of court for years, I am waving my surrender flag. So I went to Georgia for quarantine, and it was the worst mistake I ever made in my entire life. To tell you a story about how my life changed beginning July 31st, 2004 until even now, all because I had a baby by Superman, part 7. I decided to write a lot of this next part down because I wanted to make sure that I could recount everything in these last parts. So, excuse me for not constantly or consistently looking at the camera. February 2020, there is a text thread of conversations going on about possible quarantine in Georgia. This is with all of the mothers. Mother number 2 and number 3 said no. I ended up saying no after I spoke to my boyfriend, who is a traveling psychologist in the Bahamas. Damn, I fumbled that. A few weeks went on and the pandemic got worse. I got nervous. I got anxious, and going to my parents' house with all my pets was not an option. I looked for tickets to the Bahamas, but by then travel was restricted. In March of 2020, I am on Instagram and I see prayer hands under Mama number 5's Instagram. I'm confused. I get a phone call from Mama number 4, and she tells me that Mama number 5 has had a seizure and she has passed away. I'm devastated. I also get a phone call from Superman, and he is distraught. He's crying. He is so upset. He can barely compose himself, and he is begging for us to come for quarantine. He says he has received all these revelations, and he wants to make sure that his family is taken care of, and he wants to go through therapy. I mean, he lays it on thick. And after speaking to my boyfriend, I agreed to go. After a 7-8 hour drive, I, along with our son and our mini zoo, arrived at the estate in Sewanee, Georgia. It was late, so after getting our things out of the car and taking them into the guest house, I was called for dinner. It was awkward. Everyone was acting normal, and I later learned the people in the home were a groundskeeper, a trainer, a self-proclaimed guru, the nanny, his 16-year-old goddaughter, myself, my child, Mama number 4, and baby number 4. After I was at that table, I couldn't take it anymore, and I asked, why now? What happened? And he states that it is because he has received all these revelations, that he feels as if the world ending is almost a sign for him to make good with all bad and just a lot of stuff. He really was also claiming that he wanted to be a better father, and he wanted to apologize to all of us because he was basically a hoe. I listened to it. I also asked the nanny about why she would not allow my son to speak to me, or they would take his phone and not return his phone. I had to take him to court for that. I'm really like, I'm confronting everybody because I cannot stay in a house or be on a property where I feel uncomfortable and certain things haven't been addressed. That's just me. Later on that day is when I realized that he smoked like Snoop. I mean, day in, day out. Over the next couple of days, I was bit by a Malinois dog, and I also was made privy to a conversation regarding a former teammate of his and the passing of another. We were told that this particular teammate had no emotion when he was on the plane and did not show emotion until he exited the plane and left in a private car. Why that was important for us to know, I have no idea, but maybe it was because I used to praise and still praise how great of a father he is to his kids and husband he is to his wife. I actually ended up having a talk with my Bahamian boyfriend, who was a psychologist, about this conversation, and he told me to immediately leave. He said, Royce, you're about to be manipulated and brainwashed. I didn't believe him. I thought he was jealous. I stayed. Of course, we ended up breaking up. Well, now we're discussing Mama number five's funeral and who's going to go and who wants to go. And who ends up going is Mama number four, myself, Superman, and the groundskeeper. Mind you, during all of this time, Superman is texting me about possibly becoming his matriarch and all the apologies that come and him telling me that he was a changed man, that he was no longer the basketball girl, and that he saw everything that he ever wanted me. If I need to repost those messages, I could do that. Well, now we're in Reno, and I see Mama number three rubbing his back one day at the Mama number five's Mama's house. The next day, we are at the funeral. I'm taking pictures because he has not seen this little boy in months, and I'm trying to give him memories. Later on that evening, we go back to the family house and we all get drunk and we're taking edibles. I ended up getting served that night. Let me just say it. I did. Okay. While we're in Reno, we get a phone call that former basketball girlfriend is at the house and she's playing with our kids. We thought that was a little strange, but he said that she was crazy and that she was just trying to get him back. That same narrative. Of course, I didn't believe it, but go off. When we returned back from Reno, I'm basically being sold a Disney movie plot. Now, I just didn't know that it was going to end up being Bambi. Well, I'm being asked to move in, be his matriarch, and telling me that he's going to get our son a personal trainer. He's going to get me another dance studio. He's saying that he knows Tyler Perry and can introduce me and get me in movies. And y'all, you have to remember that at this point, I am waving my surrender flag. I'm listening to all of these things, and because I have lost in court so many times, I am honestly willing to fall into submission so my son can fly to success. I don't regret doing that. I don't regret following what my heart felt to be true. During this time, we are also taking family trips to the grocery store, to the park, to the sex store. And one day he decides that he wants to have a meeting with myself and Mama number four. He proceeds to basically try to sell us a polyamorous relationship. This was suggested by his guru. Well, Mama number four ended up leaving immediately. I think she stayed maybe 2 more days and she was gone. She packed up her shit and she left. Me, I laughed it off because did you really think that this was gonna work? I don't even go that way. I don't lick marbles. Oh, let me also say that baby number five and his grandmother are now in Georgia as well. He has now flown them into Georgia so he can spend time with his siblings. Just a little while after Mama number four left, I went home because I wanted to celebrate Mother's Day with my mother. While I'm there, I'm getting text messages. Love bombed, y'all. Again, I can post them again if I need to. But it's a bunch of I miss yous. It's I don't want to say it, but I love you. And then he pretended like he was texting a friend of his and was like, man, I can't believe how much I miss Royce. Okay. We still doing them little high school games, but that's what he was doing. And he was begging me to come back sooner than I planned. And what did I do? I left the next day. When I get back to Georgia, I am then seeing articles about how distraught he's been, how he's been crying himself to sleep, how the feeling of Mama number five never coming back has really torn him up. And I'm confused because I had no idea that he was going through these feelings. I then befriended the groundskeeper because the groundskeeper knew Mama number 5 very well. He proceeds to tell me that their relationship was actually pretty volatile, that they were in a court battle, that until recently there was no communication. He also let me know that when she was pregnant and when she had the child, she was forced to sleep on an air mattress, and he would put her in a motel so people wouldn't know who she was or who the baby was. I was also made aware that he, in fact, did not pay for the funeral costs as he told Mama number 5's family he would do. I started acting different, so he allowed me to invite a few friends over, and we swam in the pool, we had seafood, we watched movies, and we played games. After that, I woke up in hell. Hey y'all, it's Royce, and I'm here to tell you a story about how my life changed beginning July 31st, 2004, up until even now, all because I had a baby by Superman, part 8. We are still in May of 2020, and they are shooting something called Celebrity Peep Show at his house, in which our son is involved. Well, after a couple days, I have a migraine, and I decide to take a midday nap. When I wake up from that midday nap, I will go outside the guest house, and it's beautiful outside. It's like a bluish orange. There's fireflies, but I see a bunch of cars and people everywhere. I'm wondering what the fuck is going on. We're supposed to be on quarantine. I see a familiar face, and I can clearly tell that he is on something. And then I see Superman. I see Superman throwing up over the balcony. I go up to Superman and I'm asking him what the fuck is going on. And he looks at me crazy and he starts yelling at me. The familiar face then goes off on him and calls him a bitch. They start arguing. I'm asking where our son is. He's not responding. I go inside. When I go inside, not only do I see a table full of mushrooms and peanut butter, I also see powder and a woman peeing in a seat. I immediately get scared and I run upstairs. I am looking for my son. I'm yelling his name. He's hiding. I see my son hugging his knees in the corner of his room. I ask him if he is okay. He says that he's fine and that he's just scared. I asked him, scared of what? He said, why is Daddy acting like that? I said, well, what do you mean? He was like, I was just hungry. I then asked my baby if he had been downstairs. And at first he didn't want to tell me. I asked him several times and I said, it's okay. I promise you it's okay. And he tells me that he went downstairs, but he was just hungry. I then asked him if he ate anything off of that table. I asked him over and over again. He said no. I grabbed my child, I went downstairs, and I went out the front door, back to the guest house, back to my room. The next day, I go outside to walk my dogs, and I see an argument. This is an argument between his guru and a friend of his named Callie. I am hearing Callie threaten this guru about trying him in an inappropriate way, and that he is going to shoot and kill him. He is going to come back and shoot up the entire house. I, of course, then go back upstairs and I text the groundskeeper and I ask what the hell is going on. Mind you, that particular night, the groundskeeper was minding his business as well as the nanny because they were off the clock. Well, I'm expressing to the groundskeeper what was being said, and as I'm stating this to him, we're looking outside and we start seeing police cars drive by. I pretty much freak out and I start running around the entire property picking up paraphernalia because who finna go to jail? Not me. Well, I'm being told that I'm doing too much. Then Callie starts posting YouTube videos. Callie is recounting the entire evening. He is also stating that one of the moms was there with her kid. But Callie is talking about how he was tried inappropriately and all the different walks of life that were in the house that evening. Once the YouTube video is shown to Superman, he brushes it off like it's nothing. What ends up happening? Oh, Callie is now banned from YouTube and he's also in Facebook jail. Soon after that, I get into a blowout argument with Superman. I am discussing the situation with this party. I'm discussing how he is with homeschooling and our child. I'm discussing his recklessness, and he just does not want to hear it. We are arguing, up and down. He's bringing stuff up from the past, and the trainer is there to mediate. The trainer is trying to calm him down. It is not working. There is a moment that you see in a person's eyes when you know that you got them fucked up. I saw that moment and I knew that that night was the night that I needed to go home. Or I at least needed to get off that property. So what I did was we packed up all of our stuff in our zoo. I then went and got Braylon out of the main house. And I begged for that trainer to let me out. And at 3:30 in the morning, he let me out. So I head to the Airbnb and I get a message that I can no longer check in early. I then have to call the trainer back. And he states that because there's nowhere place safe really for me to just sit in a car for hours in that part of Georgia with a child, a car full of stuff, and animals to come back. So I went back. But I was told to hide around the corner to where he could not see my car. He was now assuming that I was gone. I did just that. And once I was able to check into the Airbnb, I sent a text, and so did the trainer. And when Superman was gone, I escaped. I stayed in an Airbnb for a couple of weeks, and I actually spent time with Jennifer Williams and Royce Morgan. Love y'all. They actually kept my head together. I'm forever grateful. When I started heading home, I called my family, I called my friends, called my attorney, and I called mama number 2. I told her what I had just done, and she, of course, was like, girl, how crazy are you? You stupid. Like, how'd you fall for that? Don't ever do no dumb shit like that again. And she was absolutely right. When I got home, I received a phone call from grandma of baby number 5, and she was asking me when I was going back. I told her I was not. I expressed to her my concerns, and she said that she was supposed to be going for Father's Day. I said, I would tell you not to go. And she's like, oh, well, I think it'll be okay. Well, grandma takes baby number 5 to Georgia for Father's Day. She is later kicked out of the house with guard dogs on the floor. And she did not see her grandchild for months. That is how he took custody of baby number 5 from his grandmother, who helped raise him when his father hadn't been in his life pretty much ever. I later learned that the plan was for me to stay in Georgia for an extended period of time so he could claim residency over our son and later kick me out of the house. He had asked me what my bills were, and he was talking about ending child support, and whatever my bills were, he was going to subtract that from what he gave me. I almost fell for it. I didn't, but somebody else did. What happened next is not my story to tell, but it turned my world upside down. I struggled for 2.5 years with suicidal thoughts and a lot of self-blame. I'd also shut down my dance company and stated it was because I didn't enjoy teaching anymore, when in fact it was because I knew I needed to get my shit together. I then landed a job at an HBCU. I was proud of myself. It was a job that I enjoyed and that I really put my heart and soul into. I fought for that team every single day, and it kept my mind off of other things. In 2023, I attended the NAACP Awards. As I looked around, I saw all of these people that I looked up to and wanted so much to be like. I was amongst greatness. I realized at that moment that it was time to take my power back. I did the Heat Dance reunion. I made amends with Tracy. We had a splash bash. We released lanterns for remembrance as well as emotional purges. I was doing well. In July, an accusation comes out about my child's father. In September, I do an interview with Carlos King. I then do another interview with Vlad TV. Followed by that was then an admission of what the accusation was. And like Mace said, I agreed with him when he said it's never consensual when it's a surprise. Well, 2024, I posted a reel and recounting 2023 and how excited I was. And I'm still not getting any child support, but I'm trying to make do. I'm using my savings because this can't continue to go on forever. My savings is now being drained, and I'm offered a basketball wives contract. After talking it over with my attorney, they think that it's a good idea for me to take it. Yes, the person who said I would never go back to that show, I was going to go back. So, Superman number one was correct when he said somebody needs money. Well, yeah, because your predecessor ain't shit. Hey, y'all, it's Grace, and I'm here to tell you a story about how my life changed beginning July 31st, 2004, until even now, all because I had a baby by Superman. Part 9, the final chapter. As I stated before, I agreed to take the 113K because I figured I would be able to flip the money that I was receiving from the Basketball Wives contract. I had also received a contract for an artist development company in New York, and I just felt like I was good. I also still had my job at the HBCU. Well, shortly after, I am headed to the airport. I get there, I check in, I go through TSA. I have my cat with me. When I get to the gate, I go to the gate and I just want to make sure that everything is okay with me and my pet. He says, I just sold your ticket. I asked him why, and he said someone refunded it. I get on the phone, and that is how I found out that they had canceled my Basketball Wives contract. I'm not saying he had anything to do with it, but that's what happened. Later on in 2024, I was fired from my HBCU job. I was actually fired during the same week that my father had a heart attack. I was then blasted on the internet, called names, and harassed by some of my former athletes, and I remained quiet. I watched them belittle and degrade me and realized that no matter how much I fought for those athletes and what I brought to that program, the culture of this generation has changed. Over the past couple of months, Superman has been harassing our son. He's also been harassing the school. He's been calling our son names and dehumanizing me. I told our son to go to California and support him on a TV show, despite the fact that he did not want to go. I said, make it more about the opportunity than the visit. Enjoy your siblings. He still had no desire to go, and even after speaking to both sets of his grandparents, Superman again and Mama number 2, he said no. I still talked him into going. Over the past couple days, Superman has decided to harass our son again. I am listening to my child laughing and joking while playing PlayStation, only to then it turn into yelling and, yes, cursing. I walk into the room and I realize that he is talking to Superman. Superman is dehumanizing me. Superman is calling me broke. Superman is basically expressing to my child that I am a deadbeat mother. He says, your mom needs to get a job. Well, just so you know, I did restart my company. I also sub at schools. I also teach gymnastics after school. And I do teach private lessons. I'm pretty much like a Jamaican. I have plenty jobs. Because one thing you won't do is break me. So as you sit here and you decide that you want to rewrite history, I think it's one thing that is important to know. I am the one with the paperwork. I am the one with all the phones. I have told you to leave me the fuck alone. As we go into 2025, my prayer for you is not blessings, it's hell. Happy New Year. Oh, and Tiffany's story coming soon, 2025. That's Mama number 2. Bye.
In an article by Soap Central, Amy Luciani responds to Royce Reed's abuse allegations against fiance Dwight Howard. The same day Royce took to her Instagram, Amy Luciani shared an Instagram carousel with photos of her on a flight with Dwight Howard. Her post captioned, "After all that, still committed." The second photo in the carousel had the words, "So private I could be at my own wedding and post a pic of the sky." In her Instagram post, Luciani also thanked everyone for the positive messages she had received. She hopes that 2025 will bring life-changing and unexpected blessings to everyone. However, some netizens looked beyond her positive comments. One Instagram one Instagram user wrote, "Not her thinking this is a flex." While some netizens claimed Amy Luciani and Dwight Howard's relationship would be a train wreck, others speculated she would call him out soon. Somebody wrote, I'm a bookmark this and come back 1 year from now." Somebody else wrote, "Y'all leave her alone. She be posting, 'Please respect my privacy at this time,' real soon." Somebody else wrote, "This is like watching a train wreck about to happen. Like you know it's about to happen, but you can't stop. You can't stop it, and you can't look away." Many Instagram users expressed their love for Amy Luciani while criticizing her for settling down. Somebody wrote, "Girl, he is not the prize, but go off, sis." Somebody else wrote, "I love Amy down, but it seemed like she'll settle for anything and anybody." Somebody else wrote, "Everybody has a man, so she didn't want to be left out. So she settled." Hey, friends, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And let me know down in the comments if you heard of this story and your opinions. So be safe and bye bye.